Abu Muhammad al-Lu'lu', surnamed al-Kabir and al-Jarrahi al-Sayfi, was a military slave of the Hamdanid Emirate of Aleppo. Under the rule of Said al-Dawla, he rose to become the emirate's chamberlain, and on Said al-Dawla's death in 991 he was appointed guardian of his son and successor, Said al-Dawla. The able al-Lu'lu' soon became the de facto ruler of the emirate, securing his position by marrying his daughter to the young emir. His perseverance and aid from the Byzantine Emperor Basil II preserved Aleppo from repeated Fatimid attempts to conquer it. Upon Said al-Dawla's death in 1002, possibly poisoned by al-Lu'lu', he became the ruler of the emirate, disinheriting Said al-Dawla's sons. He ruled with wisdom until his death in 1008. He was succeeded by his son, Mansur, who managed to retain the throne until deposed in 1015/16. Early life and rise to power. Although not recorded in any historical source, his Nisbah of al-Jarrahi al-Sayfi suggests that al-Lu'lu' was initially a servant of the Jarrahids of Palestine, before coming to serve the Hamdanid ruler of Aleppo, Sayf al-Dawla, under whom he is attested in an expedition against Mopsus Shah in 965. His name, meaning pearl, was typical of the pet names often given to the slave soldiers and servants in the contemporary Muslim world. Under Sayf al-Dawla's successor Said al-Dawla, he rose to become the chamberlain, a post he held at the time of Said al-Dawla's death in 991. On his deathbed, the Hamdanid ruler entrusted to him the stewardship of his own son, Abu al-Fayda. Al-Lu'lu' indeed secured the succession of Abu al-Fayda, better known as Said al-Dawla, and helped save his life soon after his accession, when the adventurer Bakdur tried to seize Aleppo. Soon, he strengthened his own position by marrying his own daughter to the young emir, and came to exercise the effective rule of the state. Many of his rivals, resenting his power, defected upon Said al-Dawla's death to the Fatimids, who now resumed their attacks on Aleppo. As Marius Canard writes, the history of reign is almost exclusively that of the attempts of Fatimid Egypt to gain the Emirate of Aleppo, which were opposed by the Byzantine emperor. Between Byzantium and Fatimid Egypt, encouraged by the Hamdanid defectors, the Fatimid Caliph al-Aziz launched a first attack in 992, under the governor of Damascus, the Turkish general Manjutakin. The Fatimid general invaded the emirate, defeated a Byzantine force under the Duke of Antioch, Michael Byrtzes, in June 992, and laid siege to Aleppo. He failed to pursue the siege with vigor, however, and the city was easily able to resist until, in the spring of 993, after 13 months of campaigning, Manjutakin was forced to return to Damascus due to lack of supplies. In spring 994, Manjutakin launched another invasion, again defeated Byrtzes at the Battle of the Orins, took Homs, Apamea and Shazar, and besieged Aleppo for 11 months. The blockade was far more effective this time and soon caused a severe lack of food, so that Said al-Dawla suggested surrender. It was the determination of al-Lu'lu' that allowed the city's defenders to hold out until the sudden arrival of the Byzantine Emperor Basil II in Syria in April 995. Basil, who had been campaigning in Bulgaria, had responded to the Hamdanids' plea for aid, and crossed Asia Minor in only 16 days at the head of an army 13,000 strong. His sudden arrival caused panic in the Fatimid army, and Manjutakin burned his camp and retreated to Damascus without battle. Said al-Dawla and al-Lu'lu' prostrated themselves before the emperor in person as a sign of gratitude. gratitude and submission, and he in turn released the emirate from its obligation to pay an annual tribute. Basil's interest in Syria was limited, however, and after a brief campaign that saw an unsuccessful attack on Tripoli, returned to Constantinople. Al-Aziz, on the other hand, now prepared for all-out war with the Byzantines, but his preparations were cut short by his death in October 996. The Byzantine Fatimid contest over Syria continued, however, with alternating success. In 995, Eliu made terms with al-Aziz and acknowledged him as caliph, and for a few years Fatimid influence over Aleppo grew. In 996, the governor of Marat al-Numan rebelled and was forced to flee to the Fatimids. In 998, Eliu and Said al-Dawla tried to seize the fortress of Apamea, but were thwarted by the new Byzantine Damian de Larsanos. De Larsanos' defeat and death in a battle with Bedouins shortly after caused another intervention by Basil in the next year, which stabilized the situation and strengthened Aleppo's security from Fatimid attack by placing a Byzantine garrison at Shazar. The conflict ended with another treaty in 1001 and the conclusion of a 10-year truce. Ruler of Aleppo. In January 1002, Said al-Dawla died, although according to a tradition recorded by Ibn al-Adam, he was poisoned at the behest of Eliu. Along with his son Mansur, Eliu now assumed direct power over Aleppo. At first his ostensible guardians over Said al-Dawla's sons Abu al-Hasan Ali and Abu al-Mali Sharif, until in 1003 he had them exiled to Egypt. As emir of Aleppo, Eliu was a capable ruler who was remembered for his wisdom and justice. He also managed to maintain the balance between Byzantium and the Fatimids. Although he recognized Fatimid suzerainty, he continued to pay tribute to Byzantium and imprisoned the adventurer Ali Safar, who dreamed of launching jihad against the Byzantine Empire. Eliu died in 1008 and was succeeded by his son Mansur. Mansur was unpopular, faced several challenges to his rule by rival factions and tribes, and quickly became subordinate to the Fatimids. In the end, he was deposed by a popular uprising in 1015-16 and forced to find refuge in Byzantine territory. According to Marius Canard, Eliu presents the image of a slave who, by his energy and ability, and favored by external events, succeeds in hoisting himself up to a position of supremacy over an emirate, admittedly an emirate of secondary importance. It could be said that he prefigures in the 5th–11th century what various of the Mamluks of Egypt were to become on a larger scale.